Hey girls and boys, it's Mr. McAndrew, the math coach. Very excited to be with you. We are talking about my favorite property ever today, called the distributive property. The what? I know, you've heard about it before probably, but it's very exciting because the distributive property, believe it or not, is going to be what you use later in your math career to multiply and divide like really big problems, like 376 times 98. You're like, what? I can't do that. But if you use the distributive property, you can do it. All right, but for now, we're going to start a little bit more basic, okay? Just to get a real grasp on what we're talking about. So I'm showing you some square tiles, right? Square inch tiles. And it's an area model. And I've got 6 rows. I've got 6 rows of 4. Okay, so I've got 6 times 4, 6 rows of 4. Now, what the distributive property says is you can split up this rectangle however you want. Okay, and what it's going to do is it's going to change one of your factors. One of them will stay the same. One of them will change. So, for example, last week you were doing roll and split, right? So what if I went like this? Okay, so ooh, look at that. I got 2 different rectangles. So, okay, before we get too far ahead, what is 6 rows of 4? What is 6 times 4 equal? Anybody know? Well, let's see. We've got 6, 12, 18. We've got 24. 6 rows of 4 gives me 24. Okay? Or 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Okay? Now, what if I break it up? What if I split it up like this? Because maybe I don't know what 6 rows of 4 is. But maybe I know what 2 rows of 4 is. 2 rows of 4 gives me 8. And 4 rows of 4 gives me 16. And if I add 16 plus 8, I get, you know it, 24. Okay, so you can break it up however you want. So to prove my point, let me erase this. Okay, and do it a different way. What if I split it up like this? Okay, so now I have how many rows? 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 rows of 4. And down here I also have 3 rows of 4. Well, 3 rows of 4 is 12. And 12 plus 12 equals 24. Okay? All right, so real quickly, the other thing is this, boys and girls. I could also split it the other way. So, for example, I could split it this way. Whoa, Shazam, right? Mind blown. So now I have, so before we broke it up so that there were 3 rows and then 3 more rows, 2 rows and 4 rows. Now we still have 6 rows, but we don't have as many in each row. So we have 6 rows of 2 and another 6 rows of 2. Okay, and again, what's 6 times 2? Well, that is 12. And this is also 12. And 12 and 12 makes 24. Okay, so all we're saying is you can split this up. Okay, so 6 times 4 is the same as 6 times 2 plus 6 times 2. All right, so we are going to explore this further on the computer. I found this awesome math app that I'm going to show you in just a second. All right, so here we are again. So I'm going to provide you with a link to get here. It's very, very cool. So check this out. Look, if I take this arrow right here, okay, right now it says 5 times 5 equals 5 times 5. Okay, well, no kidding. All right, so, but watch this. If I drag it, look at that. So now it says 5 rows of 2 plus 5 rows of 3 is equal to 5 rows of 5, which is, if I click on answer, this is 10 plus 5 gives me 25. Okay? And 5 times 5 is 25. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. But then if I drag it, it splits it into 2 rectangles for me. Isn't that cool? I can go wherever I want. Now it's got 5 rows of 3 plus 5 rows of 2, 5 rows of 4 plus 5 rows of 1, and then 5 rows of 5 again. Sure. All right. Now look at this. You can also bring it down and cut it and split it this way. So here you can see 2 rows of 5, which is 10, plus 3 rows of 5, which is 15, also gives me 25. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you. I'm going to roll 2 dice. You can't see it, but I'll tell you what it is. Okay, I got a 3 and a what does that say? 7. 3 and a 7. So up here, I'm going to type in 3 times 7, and I'm going to click on where it says make. Okay, so it made me a rectangle 3 times 7. Now, I can split it however I want. Okay, we're not going to do this today, but I'm just going to show you how cool this is. You can split it. Watch this. You ready? What? 4 different ways. You can get 4 rectangles. Isn't that cool? It's pretty awesome, right? But for now, we're just going to pick. So either you can slide this one over, okay, or you can slide this one down. Okay? All right. So let's say, let's do one more. I'm going to roll my dice again. All right, so this time I got 9 times 7. So I'm going to make that a 9. Ooh, it gets smaller. Okay. So here it is. Okay, you can either slide this or you can slide this. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. Okay, just give me a sec. So in your math packet, I have a recording sheet for you to work on. Okay, so I rolled 9 times 7. I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so I rolled 9 times 7. So I write that in. Okay, now what I'm going to do, first of all, I got to figure out what 9 times 7 is. Okay, I happen to know that's 63. All right, so you'll have this right in front of you, and you'll be looking at your computer, which will look like this. Okay, so here I have 3 times 7 is 1 rectangle. Okay, so if I go back here, I can write in 3 times 7. All right, and then I have to go back here. The other rectangle is 6 rows of 7. You can see that right here, 6 rows of 7. Okay, if you don't know what 9 times 7 is, it gives you the answer right here. You can turn the answers off, but it's okay to leave them on. It's fine. The point right now is to understand the distributive property, not to remember all your facts right this second. Okay? All right. So if I go back to my paper, the other one looks like it is 6 times 7. So 9 times 7 is equal to 3 times 7 plus 6 times 7. 3 times 7, it said, is 21. 6 times 7 is 42. 21 plus 42, does that equal 63? It sure does. Okay? But what I really want you to pay attention to when you do this is the visual of how it looks. Okay? So you could have done this one. You could have done this. 4 times 7 plus 5 times 7. Right? 6 times 7 plus 3 times 7. As long as there are 9 rows of 7, it's the same thing, right? Whether you have 6 rows of 7 and then 3 rows of 7, right? If this was a stadium and these were yellow chairs and these were green chairs, and you had people sitting in 6 rows of 7 and then 3 more rows of 7 with green chairs, you'd have 9 rows of 7, okay? Now, you could also do it this way, like I showed you, right? So, in this case, you're going to have 9 rows, but you might have 9 rows of 3 plus 9 more rows of 4, as long as it adds up to each row being a row of 7, right? So 4 and 3 is 7, 4 and 3 is 7 again. Sorry, 5 and 2 is 7, 6 and 1 is 7. The 9 stays the same. Okay, so you could choose any of these rectangles to write into here. Okay, there's a lot of different ways I could have done this. All right, so there's only 4 problems for you to do. So you're going to roll the dice 4 times. So this time I got, it's like a 9 and a 4. Okay, so then you would enter, and here you would enter 9 and 4, and then you would make it, and then you would slide it to make 2 different rectangles. Okay, and then write down the information right here like I was doing. Okay? All right. All right, so once you have done that, all right, you should pause the video, finish what I was just showing you on the computer. And then what I want you to do is take out, remember those 4 rectangles that you made yesterday that you were turning, right, to show the commutative property? I want you to take those 4 rectangles back out, okay, because we're going to use them. All right, so do that and then come on back. All right, so boys and girls, our last activity for today is going to be similar to what you did last week and what we've been doing today, which is splitting rectangles. You can either use a marker to draw a line, or you can take a pair of scissors and cut it. You can actually cut it. Okay, so I'm going to cut mine, but like I said, if you don't, here, I'll draw it first. I'm going to do mine right here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut it. But if you don't have scissors, then don't worry about it. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to cut it. To be honest with you, I actually prefer to leave it like that, because then I can see it better. So okay. So what you want to do? Take one of your rectangles. Okay. And then split it somewhere. You could split it this way, or you could split it this way. Okay, either way is fine, just like on the computer. Okay, so what we originally started with was, we have, how many rows do we have in this rectangle? Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and how many in each row? So we have 4. Okay, so 6 times 4 is the same as, so let's look at this. So we have up here, we have 2 rows of 4. Okay, so we have 2 rows of 4, plus we have 4 rows of 4 down here, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 4 in each row. So we're going to put 4 times 4. So 6 times 4, which is the whole rectangle, is the same as 2 times 4 and 4 times 4. Okay, if I did cut it, which I'm gonna do now, and you could see it just like this. Okay, now your rectangle is probably different from mine, and even if it was the same, you might split it somewhere different. Okay, so then what do we write down here? Well, we write down the products of each. So 6 times 4 is 24. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16, because there's 16 squares in here. There's 8 squares in here. And there were 24 squares in the whole original rectangle before we broke it up. Okay? And now we're going to write down, we're done. Okay, so look, 24 equals 8 plus 16. All right? And remember, I could have split up that rectangle really anywhere I wanted. So then when you're done with that rectangle, then you do your next rectangle. All right? And you split it with a marker, or you could cut it. Okay? And then you write down what you start with originally, and then the 2 smaller rectangles. Okay, what are the dimensions of those? How many rows and how many in each row? All right? And then you write down, just like I did, what all of those equal, and they will equal each other. Okay, to give you a real good sense of how the distributive property works. All right, so you've got 4 problems to do here because you have 4 rectangles. So I already did 1, and then I would have 3 more to go. All right, so have fun. All right, split those rectangles up into smaller rectangles and see how the distributive property really works. All right, guys, great job, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.